This is Kathy Biehl of EmpowermentUnlimited.net with Astro-Insight for the week of November 25th, 2024. We are in the first full week with Pluto fully in the sign of Aquarius, no backsies, where it will be until January 2044. And even though there's a sense of a new way of living coming into being, this week turns our heads backwards. And if that sounds like a retrograde, you are in fact right. Mercury, the planet of communication and transportation, stations retrograde on Monday, the 25th. Mercury is in the sign that rules long-distance travel, our life philosophy, perspectives, outlook, to an extent, the internet, how we broadcast messages, politics, also our ability to be optimistic or not, to expand our thinking or not. And the retrograde will go until December 15th from 22 degrees Sagittarius to 6 Sagittarius. If you know your chart, it could be helpful to look at that. All the usual Mercury retrograde cautions apply. Allow extra time for travel, particularly since Sagittarius is involved, particularly if you're flying. Look for opportunities to rethink something, to do something over, to finish some lingering business, to clear up a confusion, and know that people's biases and prejudices are very likely going to cause communication problems during this time, and that even though you and someone else might be using the same words, you might have different meanings for the words or different underlying assumptions. Know in advance that this retrograde is going to end up locking into a Mars retrograde, which starts on December 6th. So know that there will be a lot of re-examination and going back over and rethinking, especially once Mars turns retrograde, especially in that period from December 6th through 15th. I have a lot more about this in my guide at Om Times to Mercury retrograde, and I encourage you to look at it. There are possibilities for movement this week, and not all backwards. By the 27th, the Sun trines Mars. The Sun in Sagittarius trines Mars in Leo, and this is kind of presaging the link that's going to happen on December 15th between Mercury retrograde and retrograde Mars in Leo. You may find it extremely organic, easy, natural to push something forward, to do something that's extraordinarily self-expressive, or perhaps involves a level of courage. But whichever way this plays out, it will be a high energy week, just that the energy might be going in multiple directions. There are a few course corrections or tweaks or maybe even just awkward moments having to do with relationships and communicating. On the 26th, Venus is in an adjustment aspect with Jupiter. They are both planets of indulgence, so you could find yourself really wanting what you want and wanting a whole lot more of it, and having uncharacteristically little problem asking for it. You might also find yourself having to tweak what it is you're going after, what it is you say you want. Venus is in the goal-oriented sign of Capricorn, and Jupiter is in the sign of communication. So you might be thinking, okay, I thought I wanted this, maybe now I want this point too. See how that fits in your life. And there are some things you will feel that you really do need to speak up about, and that's going to push you out of your comfort zone. That's on the 29th when Mercury makes a semi-sextile to Venus. When we get into December starts with a new moon in Sagittarius. So we are definitely oriented toward all things Sagittarius this week. And a new moon is a time to have an uptick in the role of that area of your life, to refresh, to start new things, to launch new things, except we're at a retrograde, and Mercury is retrograde in the sign of the new moon. There's a possibilities of seeing things bigger, of planting some seeds for the future, but know that this new moon has a lineup that forces, demands, pushes for caution and maturity. The new moon is forming a T-square, a bit widely, but enough that you're going to notice it, with Jupiter opposite the moon, and the moon and Jupiter both squaring Saturn in Pisces. There will be some kind of call for you to be an adult, to be wise in what you choose to do, to look at the limitations and responsibilities and burdens of some of your viewpoints or policies and beliefs. So even though Sagittarius is a sign of wide open possibilities, and Jupiter opposite the moon is going to pump that up, there is at the same time a break, a governor, a regulator saying, maybe not so much be practical, but take responsibility for the thoughts and the beliefs that you are sending out. And maybe even take responsibility in whatever way you can for what is going on politically around you. The Pluto and Aquarius vibe is all about building community. Action starts at home, action starts locally, grassroots organizing, even if it's just grassroots support systems, sharing resources, community gardening. That can be a radical and empowering enterprise in itself. Homing thought of the week: take another look. Song of the week, I have two: Tomorrow by John Legend and Hope for the Future by Paul McCartney. And the image of the week is flying lessons. You'll learn more about this in my Mercury retrograde guide at Om Times and in my forecasts for the month of December, which is already up at my site, empowermentunlimited.net, and the Sagittarius new moon, which will be at my site by Wednesday, empowermentunlimited.net, where you can also sign up for my mailing list and book a session with me. I'm Kathy Biehl, a professional astrologer with more than 30 years experience. I have lots of bonus content at patreon.com/Kathy Biehl, and I'm really grateful to the people who support my work there. I host the show Celestial Compass on Om Times Radio and TV on the first and third Monday of every month at 5 p.m. Eastern. I also host conversation on Facebook, on the page Empowerment Unlimited, and in the group the Astro-Insight Lounge. I post on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Threads at K.A. Biehl, and on YouTube at the Professional Aquarian channel. Talk to you next week.